This is the Astrology Show podcast with Jessica Adams.
Thanks, Shane. This is your astrology and Lenormand oracle for the week starting November 4. Happy birthday if it's your birthday. Any issues with your brother, sister or cousin end near November 19, then by December 7. There's a new start then, near Boxing Day. Babies born this week are strongly Sagittarian, with Mercury and Venus in that sign. Born travellers, or they will travel in the mind as students of life. Famous birthdays include James Honeyman Scott, who would have been 68 on November 4. Chris Difford, who is 70 on the same day. Happy birthday, Chris. Art Garfunkel is 83 on November 5. George Young would have been 78 on November 6. And Paul Thompson is 67 on November 8. In your birth chart now, if you have anything in Leo, then Mars went into Leo on November 3. So pace yourself with your godson, daughter, son, niece, nephew, goddaughter, and the younger generation. It's the same with pregnancy or adoption. Mars is there until the 6th of January 2025, then back again from the 18th of April to the 17th of June next year. So rushing and pushing now, or being pushed and rushed in November, is not necessary. Your Lenormand card this week can be interpreted by you on a purely psychic level. Aries, heart. Taurus, mountain. Gemini, ship. Cancer, tree. Leo, child. Virgo, sun. Libra, garden. Scorpio, also like Leo, the child. Sagittarius, bear. Capricorn, bouquet. Aquarius, lady. And Pisces, fish. Aries, well, this week, people or situations which are unpredictable, liberating financially but unpredictable, have either come, gone, or are being reshaped. In terms of your money, the house, your business, charity or apartment, maybe your valuables. You've had this cycle since 2018. So it's nothing new, but you still have to cope with the fact that you never know what or who is coming next. You have quite a lot of factors in Taurus this week, but also in Scorpio. So both areas of your chart that rule everything that you own, earn or owe. Budget for the unexpected until July 2025. You have seen it all since 2018, particularly in 2020. But there is more that is totally out of the blue. Uranus is about freedom, and Diana is also about freedom, and there they both are in your chart. So you put them together with the bank, your salary, and so on, maybe your tax, and a price tag needs to go on being independent. The reason it's all so intense in November is this really unusual double Scorpio and Taurus cycle. You have already broken with the past. You are now independent from or independent through somebody or something that used to be there. Now more decisions roll. The thing about this transit with Uranus in Taurus is that it's also global. So you're moving through a cycle where cryptocurrency is the norm, and so is the totally unpredictable and rather chaotic nature of the US election to come, which is going to affect all world share markets. So you're swimming against that kind of tide. Something that you have learned since this cycle began in 2018 is that you need to be quite loosey-goosey. So you need to be flexible, able to zigzag when everybody requires it from you. Things like Bitcoin, which arrived around the beginning of this cycle, and other cryptocurrency will be really hard to predict, obviously ongoing, but strangely, the cycle ends next July. And therefore, we might say that that also ends for you too, in terms of it being erratic. At the moment, you need to put a price on being free, and so do other people. This may be about the house or the apartment, or it may be about the business itself or your salary. Understanding that you can throw money at the problem may be part of the solution for you. In other cases, you're just about ready to rejig your life budget so that you control it and you make the difference to what you are saving or spending, what you are earning or what you owe, because your values have changed this year. That's also showing up in your horoscope. You no longer place such a high value on what or who you once did, whereas other things have come right up. So this week is all about rethinking that and maybe reorganizing it for next year. Taurus, this current experiment that you are trying occurs in relation to religion, science, tarot, spirituality, therapy, counseling, self-help, mediumship, hypnosis, and everything else that nobody else really understands or can see. It takes a lot of time to be by yourself to figure it out, and yet your horoscope says the time alone is there, either because you're choosing it this week or it's being put upon you. It's very personal. What is basically stop, start, and rewind from your inner life 18 or 19 years ago continues to play on a loop this week. This does end in January. You have a huge number of factors in Aries, one sign behind you, in your 12th house of solitude and soul searching, psychology, and the spirit. Now, the North Node is there too, and that's why you're on a bit of a loop with all of this. You've been there before, and nothing's really changing, but it will end next January. This might not seem like the kind of thing that most people ask about of astrology, because most people want to know about money or relationships or career and so on. But actually, everything comes from that nerve center this week. It's about the inner self. Nothing that you decide now between here and next March, when the situation peaks, can really be done unless you refer to what your soul is saying, what your inner self or your psychology or psyche is saying. If you're one of those Taurus people who have factors in Pisces in your birth chart, you can double that message. This is really crucial for you because this week is about God or your rejection of God in favor of, say, self-help or the tarot. This is a long cycle. It just happens to concertina this week, but it will help you make a sign-off decision next year as you are going into the second part of this when Neptune and Saturn go into Aries. So this is all like one episode in a long mini-series about what's in your head, your soul, or your spirit, and you will have to be alone to do it. Gemini. Well, you are now in rolling Sagittarius cycles in November, which is about your other half or the other side, with a lot of questions. Mercury, your ruling planet, the moon and Venus all start the week in your opposite sign of Sagittarius. Your marriage, your professional partnership, or any other duet is up for discussion about what is fair, just, or even legal. It is the same with any feud or conflict, and this could be with your wife, it could be with your brother. A new deal or agreement will come out of this for you too. If you have anything in Libra in your birth chart, then January is the final sign-off with karma with this person. It goes back 18 or 19 years with him or her, and you are owed from that time, or you owe, and that's why things keep going around in circles with them. Even if you don't have anything in Libra, or you don't know, this week is still about really important discussion or signature with, say, your girlfriend or your husband, maybe a work partner. None of this is life-changing. These Sagittarius cycles are not slow-moving or transformative. It's really just about November and December, but it will have a bearing on what finishes in January, because in January you end a pretty stuck loop or circuit which has been going on all year, either with this person, with the world of children, or with yet another partner or ex-partner. So it does add up eventually. You are looking forward to January when everything starts to come together for you in terms of being free to make different sorts of decisions. But don't be surprised if you go back to the paperwork this week with, for example, your husband, or you hear from your ex and have to sort something out there. All of this is pretty typical when you have transits in your opposite sign of Sagittarius. But the number one factor to bear in mind is Mercury retrograde is upon us. So lots of things here are going to go backwards and forwards in November and December. And if you may prefer to put this off until the second week of January for absolute final agreements, that might not be a bad idea. Cancer. You have a double whammy in your personal and also your solar chart. Your house of career, unpaid work, or academia is lit in both systems that I use for you, so the personal and the public. a higher percentage of Cancer people than usual will resign or take new positions in this new November-February timeframe. As your chart shows, Pluto leaving your career sector in your birth chart, and yet also in your sun sign chart, we are seeing a lot of rumbling in the jungle with a major choice towards the middle of next year. This is the long road to 2025 for your career, your unpaid work, or your academic career, and all the changes that come with these Aries transits. There is a huge pile up there this week, and there will be a second chapter towards the middle of next year, as I've said, mainly as a byproduct of what you say or do now. You will see a reshuffle in your workplace, your university, or your chosen field starting near November 19, and by December 7, the merger, demotion, promotion, departure, or new arrival will be in place ready for just after Boxing Day and into January next year. It's musical chairs. So this week is about asking yourself what success means to you, given everything that you've been through. Next May 2025, Saturn and Neptune both go into Aries, this same chart sector of success and status. This is the start of a new role, a new project, or the second reshuffle as a result of what you're thinking about this week. Leo. Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are behind the waiting game with money, but also the holiday from reality with the bank, your salary, the share market, insurance, tax, your house or apartment, charity, and the rest, maybe an inheritance or a mortgage. This tallies with your birth chart as well, so it's showing up in your public and your private horoscope. In your birth chart, we have quite a lot of Taurus and Scorpio traffic this week. So if you do happen to have Taurus and or Scorpio placements, then this is personal. You have a lot of November decisions about the business, the banking that you do, your superannuation or pension, the house or apartment, and so on. Huge budget rethink. This week reminds you to take a double approach. One is an escape. It's a bubble. It's not quite real, and it's a bit of a sanctuary for you. And the other is a waiting game. One is a holiday from reality, and the other one is accepting the reality, which is all about restrictions and waiting. One is a vacation from normal financially, and the other one really is all too heavily normal, and it does involve a lot of patience. An example of this is running two bank accounts. This does end. It ends in May 2025 when you have the big sign-off from these Pisces cycles. But for now, you have some serious number crunching to do. And one of the reasons for that is that people and organizations outside you are feeling pulled in two different directions because of all this Taurus and Scorpio traffic. Virgo. A new deal with your relatives, your flatmates, your live-in partner, or a new arrangement for the home or real estate is coming your way by early 2025. This week paves the way. Any property investments may also be involved, or you may be renovating, redecorating, moving or reshuffling the household. Even having people to stay means a reshuffle of the space. This double whammy of Sagittarius transits in your solar fourth and a long Cancer transit ahead in your natal fourth suggests that you need to allow for more time. If you have anything in Cancer in your birth chart, the really big luck does not roll until mid-2025, but it will be with you until the middle of 2026. It's the sort of cycle, if you do have Cancer factors in your chart, when you find a bargain property or you see the value of your own home going up, when you get what you want from anything that you are renting, and see huge improvements possible with the space that you're in with less effort than you expected. Even if you don't have factors in Cancer or you don't know, it's still true that right now you have Mercury and Venus cycles making the discussions, paperwork or letters roll about and through your home in November. Just remember they will also roll backwards and forwards until the first week of January. So have plan B and plan C, for example, when you are dealing with builders, getting a new flatmates or trying to organise the family for Christmas. The family is the focus for many of you who are wondering when things will change for or with children or young relatives, perhaps godchildren. The answer is they will change in the second half of November and first half of December. The questions about control will disappear. You do end up with a compromise, and this affects the whole family. There's a lot going on at the moment, but you might say it also had to happen. Libra. Well, this is a mixed bag, but as Sagittarius cycles in your chart rule the internet, the media, brothers and sisters, cousins, neighbours, and short trips, you have to be a multitasker just to deal with everything that's going on. In fact, this goes on into next year as well. Lots of decisions are rolling about the media or the web, your siblings or cousins, even the people next door, and certainly how you get from A to B. If you have anything in Gemini in your chart, you can double that message. It's personal, and next year is going to be a revolution, particularly with or for a brother or sister. If you do have Gemini placements, then November is really important for setting up a major project online or a course for next year. It will take off by June, and then it will change your life after June. Even if you don't have Gemini factors or you don't know, this week is still really important for the internet, publishing, education, or the media. Your brother, sister, or cousin is also at the heart of a major sign-off decision or discussion by the time you get to December. You may want to allow for he or she changing their mind or you changing yours. So for the best results, treat this as a first attempt or beta testing before you two either sign off or have a handshake agreement about what is in place. You have a lot to talk about here. A short trip away will also be planned or taken this week. And yet again, you may want to have plan B or C because Mercury retrograde is almost upon us. So factors beyond your control, anything from extreme weather to strike action at the airlines or issues with your car or public transport, is extremely likely between here and the first week of January. Plan B and C is always a good idea on this cycle. To say early November is hectic is an understatement, but you're going to get a lot done, even if it does go back and forth for a while. Scorpio. The North Node and Chiron in your sector of daily routine, lifestyle, paid work, unpaid work, academia, health, and well-being suggests a week of reality checks about next year. Next year, the North Node leaves this zone, so the karma stops, and so does the endless repetition with a work or health situation. But also next year, we have another big change with Saturn and Neptune moving in. So it's a complete reshape for your way of life on a daily basis in 2025. It's being set up like a jigsaw this week with some of the pieces going on the board, and maybe you already know that. This week is about understanding it's the tiny details that count. Your satisfaction with your job, study, housework, unpaid work, or your lack of satisfaction is crucial. Your body and mind will act out whatever is required to get you time off or even permanent time out if there is a real issue there about your workload. You do have quite a lot happening in Aries, all in your sixth house, which rules the connection between how you feel about working and serving and doing for others and how you feel about what that does to you physically and mentally. And that's why you tend to get these situations, Scorpio, where you find that a health question or issue is getting in the way of work or study or volunteering or housework. There's usually a pretty good reason for that, and your unconscious mind knows it. So you can dig quite deeply this week if you want to find out some answers. For those of you who are mastering this cycle, you will have figured out by now exactly the right combination of food, drink, fitness, and the rest of it to see you functioning at peak productivity. This is a gateway to next year when you will be able to do even more than you're doing now. Sagittarius. You are now in the me, foreign and multicultural zone because you are all about people from different countries and cultures. It's how you shine at your brilliant best. And now we have a lot of Sagittarius transits all in the same chart zone. So it looks as if this gives you a couple of clear windows for foreign relations, international connections, travel, tourists, tourism, and multicultural connection. There may be, for some of you, relocation. In your birth chart, where we find your sun in Sagittarius in the ninth house of foreigners and foreign countries, you have quite a lot of traffic this week. The only caveat here is that you need to allow for stop, start, go slow, and business not as usual in November and December because Mercury is going backwards. It is currently in shadow retrograde, and you are going to see all kinds of disruptions to world export traffic, tourism, flights, and the rest of it, even down to passports and visas. Some of this will be the US election, which is going to be chaotic, but what would normally be rushed through in a few weeks for you may take until the last week of December or first week of January, whether you're expecting somebody from abroad who has to reschedule, or whether you find your own plans overseas change. This isn't just about airlines, though. It can be about the internet, literally the World Wide Web, or publishing and academic matters tied to people from other countries and cultures. All of this is stop-start traffic for you with Mercury going backwards and forwards, and it makes sense to treat November and December as a rehearsal. In fact, rehearsal can work extremely well for you. Beta testing, first and second attempts tend to do well on Mercury retrograde, and you end up in the right place later. But if you were planning on something quick and easy in a straight line with no interruption or delay, you are actually going through quite a notorious cycle here and may want to have plan B and C. Capricorn. This long Aries double transit of Chiron and the North Node will return in your family or household zone now. This week is about your relative, the house or apartment, or the people that you live with. Luckily, this stuck situation is on the way out. It's been history in the making for a while now, and January 2025 ends it. You have been going around in circles for far too long because of this North Node cycle, which always makes life go backwards and not forwards. So anything that you do or say tends not to affect any outcome at all with family, the house or the apartment, even your town or country. It's not a bad idea to see the long game this week. So think about the second half of 2025 and the first half of 2026. This makes sense if you want to move, buy, or sell real estate, renovate, or seriously reshuffle the way the family is operating. This shows up in your birth chart as well. If you're one of those people who have anything in the sign of Cancer, then you are in the luckiest and biggest cycle for 12 years, starting halfway through next year, ending halfway through 2026. Even if you don't have Cancer factors or you don't know, this week is still absolutely about home and family, household and real estate, town and country. There is a stack of action in your astrological chart telling you that you are moving towards a sign-off decision. What will be an ending is also a beginning. That's pretty clear. And you actually have to put yourself first. Aries is one of those signs that needs to be self-focused. And after a very long time in which everybody else was certainly controlling the wheel, spinning backwards and forwards, now you can take the steering wheel yourself. It may not be that dramatic, but you do need to edge towards driving this your way, and you have some really interesting offers on the table. Aquarius. Well, after weeks or even months of delay or repeat, you can at last move forward with an inheritance, a payout, insurance, shares, house or apartment transactions, or something more complicated like crypto. This may have been about gold bullion and bull markets for you too. Perhaps you've been personally affected by the US debt situation, even if you live in another country. Whatever the story, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces in your cash zone have made you face facts, get real, wait patiently, and then look for a way out or an escape. And that might explain why your financial situation or property situation has been almost like two people running two budgets. What's going on this week is showing up in your birth chart as well. There are a lot of Taurus and Scorpio patterns. So if you have anything in Taurus or Scorpio, then this is personal. And you need to know for your own planning that between now and the middle of next year, you still don't have anything predictable going on. Therefore, you have to keep it pretty flexible. This is affecting everybody else around you too. So it's time for the big life budget review. What can you chop and change here? Even if you don't have factors in Taurus or Scorpio, or you just don't know, this week is about calculating the time and energy involved in making or saving money. There are also people and things which are priceless to you. You don't put a price tag on them or that because you cannot do it. What you will find this week is that organizations or people around you have their own agenda, and so you do have decisions to make as a result of them. You could also find that May 2025 is turning up as a deadline in your diary now. And this would make sense in terms of your chart because that's when you see a huge change in your horoscope. May 2025 is going to be the ending and the beginning at the same time. And a lot of people born under your sign will find that is when things start to move with salary questions, savings or debt or property. Pisces. Uranus in Taurus suggests revolution with your brother, your sister, or your cousin is ongoing, and this week will show you that independence takes quite a long time. This has been happening for a while now, and the relationship between yourself, your siblings, or your cousins has been loosening from the past little by little. This week tells you that you don't have much further to go. In fact, by the time you get to the middle of next year, this phase of your life is well and truly over, and you will be an independent entity from your brother, sister, or cousin, or they will have definitely separated themselves from you. All of this is about being free, so liberation is the whole point of it. Fortunately, you have been there, done that, written the script and read it with your sibling or cousin already, and what you experience this week is just another episode, so you know what to do with it. At the moment, we also find that in your birth chart as well, we have quite a lot of action in the sign of Gemini. If you have anything in Gemini in your birth chart, then again, this is about your heavenly other twin, so your brother, sister, or cousin. And for you, this is actually going to be bigger because between now and next year, you are going to see a big sign-off decision involving your sibling or cousin and perhaps another member of the family or their own family. Once again, you will feel as if you are going to be independent of things. What else is going on this week is about short journeys and commuting. And this is again going to be a real go zone for you because you have to figure out anything from public transport to your car to commuting between two cities or even neighbouring countries. And you will find that between now and the end of this year and start of next year, you have quite a few different choices stacking up. At the moment, with your personal birth chart, the Gemini wheels are definitely turning. But even if you don't have anything there or you just don't know, the next 7 days will ask you to discuss or put in writing major information that's quite new with or for your sibling or cousin. You'll also find something as basic as getting away for Christmas or New Year or Thanksgiving becomes so much more important because what you discover about how to get from A to B will influence the choices that you make next year as well. Finally, the internet, the media and the digital side of your life is also showing up this week, and a project, idea or website that you had written off will come back from the brink. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch up with you next week.